Well, hello everyone. It is 2018. Happy New Year. First video of the year for me. I hope that the holidays, or however you celebrate them, whatever you celebrate, have been, are, and were very enjoyable for you. I took some much needed time off, which was great. Nice thing about having your own business. And actually just recently I returned from sort of a bushcraft and survival event out in the foothills here in Alberta. And it's a symposium called Frostbite. And it's where bushcraft and survival instructors and other crafters all get together to share and to teach. And I met up with a couple of the subscribers to this channel. One of them has been my friend for a very long time, and the other one, Cindy, I've known her for a few years as well. It was great to catch up with them. There were all kinds of wonderful things that were going on at the event. Everything from fire lighting to basket weaving to making a sled and throwing atlatls and really great expert talks and things like that. It was fantastic. This is the first year that I was actually able to take part in in some of the events as well. Normally I'm just there instructing almost the entire time, so it was really nice to have the opportunity to also take part in some of the classes, which was a real benefit, as well as being an instructor. I was instructing two things. I did some wonderful salves and creams and lotions. We did a very cool Vaseline without using beeswax, and then I also taught how to make salves from resin, because one of the things I've noticed is lots of people get that wrong. They just put the resin in oil, and that's not really very workable. So I taught that, and then the next day I taught survival dentistry, and that went over extremely well. So much so that I believe that's probably going to be on the cards for next year. A lot of people that didn't have the opportunity to jump on my class were really disappointed and are hoping that I'll do that next year. So anyway, it was a great time. I'm going to show you two things that I made. One was my friend Lori from Karamat Wilderness Ways did one on beading. I didn't get to do her felting one, which was really sad for me because I really wanted to do it. So I joined her bead class and I made this little pouch. And thanks, Lori. That was a lot of fun. And Lori is just such she's such a good teacher. She's so patient and so kind and explains things so very well. So it was wonderful to be in her class and just even to see somebody else and how they instruct. And it was lots of fun. So that was one thing that I did. And then I chose to do the basket making session because I thought, well, you know, I've never made a basket before. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, but I need a lot of practice. So I came away with the world's ugliest basket, but I just love it because it's mine, and I'll show you. Please don't laugh. There it is. I'll just come out a little bit for you so you can see the ugliness and its fullness. So it's a little bit wonky, but you know what? It was fun, and I've really got the method down. And it's not a terrible basket, and it's actually very, very sturdy. It's very strong, but I had so much fun making this. Anyway, so that was my weekend. I came back exhausted. I brought my two nieces with me, and they had an absolute blast. I have had a few requests from people, and I think I can kill two birds with one stone here, so to speak, but let me show you something first. So here's my stiffened felt, and it turned out really, really good. I'm very, very happy with it. So this crazy white glue wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, so it worked out a lot better than I expected it to. So anyway, that's all good stuff right there. Yeah, so I had somebody ask me, two different people ask me things. One was really excited that I finally got to this. And then she said, now can you show me how to work with this, and can you make a pair of earrings on one of your videos? And I thought, sure, of course I can do that. And then I had somebody asking me on one of my other videos. I think it was the very first video that I did. I showed this pendant that I made here, and it's got hide on the back, and it's bezeled quite nicely around, and somebody asked me if I would show them how to do a bezel around a square stone. So from my bead box, somebody wanted to learn how to make a pair of earrings, and somebody wanted to bezel around a square stone. So from my bead box, my dollar bead box, I have these two little square stones here that I thought, well, you know, maybe I could make a pair of earrings out of this and make it similar to the bezeled square stone that I did. So hopefully that will be okay. So we'll do that today. And let me just show you a couple of other little things. You know, like you don't have to stick to squares and rounds and anything else like that. This is another project that I had made, and I turned it into a sideways pendant. There's another one. Just got some little stones and bezeled around them. Let me just come in just a little bit more. I think there we go. Oh, good. Okay. Sorry, that focus is just acting a little bit strange right now. But yeah, these were just some little stones I got from some bead store. And with these guys, I did not do a peyote bezel around them. I just sort of built up around them, whereas on this big square one here, I did a peyote bezel on there. Now, the peyote bezel that I did around the sort of the round stone can be done on this pretty much in the exact same way, as long as it's not like really, really high and really tight corners. You could do that, and you've seen me do peyote before, and I may do another one like this. And then the fringing on here is like a looped fringe, so I can show you how to do that. But so that's a peyote bezel, and then both of these ones, this is just like a back stitch, similar to the way that I did my Métis beaded flower and my beaded bag. So I think I'm going to use this method on these guys because it's a little bit quicker and a little bit easier to learn to do as well. Both of these work just fine, but I think I'll just use that method. With that, let's get started on our project today. So what are we going to need? Well, if you want to make earrings, you can have 2 small stones. Otherwise, any size stone will work. It really does not matter. Just choose whatever size you want. You will need your stiffened felt. You're going to need, actually, let me just zoom out a little bit because I seem to be having a bit of trouble there. You're going to need your scissors. I often put in a pair of pliers just because. I'm not going to use my beading tray today. What else are we going to need? We need some fire line is going to be necessary. We'll need some beading needles. I've got some size 11s here. Let me just pull one of these guys out. I I could use one of the longer ones, but I have so much stuff right now that's all over the place. I can't find anything at the moment. Just in and out running programs and stuff has kind of kept me a little bit busy. If we're using Fireline, I recommend a thread burner as well. It is going to be very convenient to use. And then you can choose some beads. Now, I'm going to be choosing between size 11s and 15s. I'm not going to use delicas on this one. Between size 11s and 15s. Maybe a size 8. We'll see how they look up against this. Just get some colors out there, and I'll bring those out in a minute. The other thing, though, is you want some E6000 glue, or I've also got this super new glue here, but I'm going to use the E6000 just to glue these down onto my stiffened felt. And the nice thing about these guys too is I don't have to rely solely on the glue because they have holes right through them. So I don't have to rely solely on the glue, which means that I can also get busy doing the bezel kind of right away. So let me find some beads that I want that I think might be complementary to this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I forgot a couple of things. You're going to need some ear hooks or ear wires. And I'm going to use some Wire Guardians. And I've got some Miyuki Gold that I can also, and I'll show you how I'm going to do this, that I can sort of frame these with as well. So you're not just having bare thread in there. Or if those don't fit, then I've got some little tiny Charlottes that I can use in there. So I'll try those as well. All right, so I'm going to get these guys out of my way. One other thing is that for my backing, I've got a piece of hide, and this is actually moose hide that I'll be using for my backing. All right, so I'm going to move a couple of things out of my way. Give myself a bit of room here. Okay, so what I've done is I have cut out two little squares here, two tiny little squares of felt. And I'm actually going to round those corners because, of course, thread loves to grab corners. And I apologize right now. I have a very different way that I've had to set up my camera this time. And I'm really sorry. I really hope that I'm going to stay in frame. It's been kind of weird setting up my camera this way, but I think I will put myself a little, I don't know, some sort of a little marker to say, keep your hands here. Maybe I'll use that to say, stay in frame beyond that. Try to give myself that little reminder anyway. All right, so here we go. I'll cut that. So one of the friends, Cindy, that I met up with at Frostbite, I told her I think she needs to come and be a YouTube guest for me, and she said yes. So I hope you'll come visit me, Cindy. I would love to have you come see me, and we could have so much fun together. And I'm sure that you would teach our YouTube audience a lot of really, really fun things. So I want to choose which side I want for my stones. And I think I want this one, that side up on that one, and that side up on that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the E6000, and I've got this huge tube of E6000, and yeah, I've sort of learned my lesson that I won't be using that anymore. It's just a little bit too much. So I'm going to flip that upside down because I want to put a little bit of glue on these guys, and just a little bit. I don't need an awful lot. I just kind of want to just hold it onto the fabric there. So I'm just going to put a little dab on that one and plop it down. And I'm not too worried about this because I'm actually also gonna sew these guys on too. There we are. I'll just put my lid back on because me and glue disasters go hand in hand. So I'll set one of them aside to allow it to dry. And we'll start working kind of on one right away. And really you should be letting these sit and dry for a long time. But like I said, because I've got holes in these beads, this one's going through that way, I can also sew it on because the bezel itself is going to be covering the thread, so you won't even see that. I'm going to be using my fire line. I've got some other colors I could probably use as well, but I think I'll probably just stick to the fire line just for the bezeling part, and then I'll do I think it's KO that I have. I'll use my KO thread for any of the fringing and stuff like that. So I'm going to get a good double, a wingspan, which is stretching your arms out fingertip to fingertip, and you're going to pull your thread out. I'll show you once again. Hopefully I can stay in frame. So the way I do this is I cross my thread. This is the long end of the tail, and I hold it over top of my needle, and I hold that down with my thumb and forefinger. Then I wrap about 5 times. And then I pull all that underneath my thumb and forefinger. I pinch, and then I drag the needle and thread through, and there is my little knot. All right, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to just bring my needle up from the bottom, pull my thread all the way through, and then I'm going to go through that little hole there. Oops, come right out the other side, pull my thread through, and then I'm going to go straight down. And then I'm going to come back and across to the other side. Oops, and that's going to catch on my my table here, but that's okay. I'll fight with it. Now, that's going to make a loop if I keep that up. Okay, so I'm just going to keep pulling. And yes, you will have a line across here. You're going to have a lot of stitching on the back here, but that's okay. We're going to cover it up with the felt, or the hide there. And you know, you can use any backing you want. Lots of people will use fabrics, or people will buy ultra suede, or they might use felt, or whatever you desire. You can use any backing that you want. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to go through here just for security. I'm going to go through here about 4 or 5 times. So I will do that, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, so I've gone through a few times, and now I'm going to go down one more time. And I'm going to bring my needle up again somewhere beside my little square stone here, but just not in front of where I have just come out. So I'm just over by, I don't know, a couple of millimeters away. And there we go. I'm going to put my little thing back in place there. So that's all I've done, is I've just come up out here. So now what I want to do is have a look at my colors. So this is what I've chosen. This is a Miyuki seed bead size 11, and this is the Denim Blue SL, silver lined. I think it's a beautiful color. All right, and so that's the number right there. And I'm going to just give myself a little pile of those. And then I also got, in a size 15, Miyuki, but it's a royal blue matte, and I think that it is absolutely astoundingly gorgeous. And then out of one of my bead bags. I got these lovely 3mm, and I don't know what color it is. I really don't. I'm just enamored with this color though, and I think it's going to look very stunning on there. So these are the colors that I have chosen, but I'm going to start with the blue beads here. And you've seen me do this before on a bunch of different projects. You saw me do this on the Métis flower. So if you want a little refresher on how to do the back stitch, you can go and have a look at that video. But I'm going to show you again on here anyway. So I'm coming out kind of beside my square here, and I've really secured that down well. That's not going to go anywhere. So I don't have to worry about how high up I bring my bezel. That's not really going to matter too much. Okay, so we'll pick up 4 of those guys. We'll start this again. We'll just slide those down. Okay, so once again, I'm going to push these all the way back. I'm going to bring my thread forward, making sure that my beads are pushed right back to where the thread is coming out, so they're nice and tight back there. And again, I'm going to put my needle down right in front of that very first bead. Just like that. Hopefully you can see that. It's always hard for me to tell in my little frame if it's easy to see or not. Okay, so now I'm going to just pull all the way. And I'm going to bring my needle back up in between, or I'm going to come back 2 beads. And I'm going to come in between the beads and the stone, or if I wanted to, I could just come to the outside of the beads. It really doesn't matter. All right, so coming back in between those beads, and I'm going to put my needle through those 2 front beads, just like that, and pull tight. Make sure they're all nice and tight. I'm going to put my thumb on there and just push everything together. And now I'm ready to pick up another 4 beads. And this is just a fun way to do earrings. I really like doing earrings like this. And again, I got my 4 beads on. I'm going to put my needle right in front of that 4th bead I just put on. Come down, pull. Now I'm going to come up, but between these, come back these 2 beads here. Oh, this felt worked out beautifully. And so, yeah, just keep coming back 2, go through the front 2, pick up 4 more until you're almost all the way to the end here, and I will see you just before I get to the end, okay? Okay, so I'm almost all the way around now, and I have space for, I think, 2 more beads. Let's just measure. So I'll pick up 2 and run those down to the end and see if they fit in there, and they do very nicely. So I'll just put my needle down there. There we go. Now, one other thing that I like to do, and you don't have to do it, but it will certainly shore up your beads quite nicely, and that is I will run my thread around this whole thing one more time, just to tighten things up, keep everything neat, and also if there's any beads, like there's this one here that's kind of laying a bit funny, then you can sort of straighten your beads out a little bit better when you do that. So I'll do that. Give it a nice solid pull. And just all the way around once is pretty ample. There we go. And I think I have a little bit more to go, and I'm at my starting point again. And I'll just come out there. So that kind of straighten your beads up a little bit better, can sort them out from being a little bit too wonky. And don't crowd your beads. Like, you'll see there's still a little bit of space between some of them. Don't worry about that. It's not really going to matter too much. You don't want to be packing beads in, or this will all buckle up and it won't look all that nice. So now what we're going to do is let's move these gray ones out of the way again. I love that color. Do you know what's funny? I'm not really a fan of sort of those kinds of shades, black and white, but this one, it's absolutely beautiful to look at. And they make a smaller one, and it's called Tawny Gray. And it's exquisitely beautiful. All right, let me put my little marker back again. Now we're going to do the exact same thing. So I've just come through all the way around. So I'm going to put my needle down again through the beads. Now this time it's very important that I do make sure that I come up between the gray beads and the stone, anywhere I like. Now I'm going to come along just the side here completely. Now what we're going to do is absolutely the exact same thing. We're going to pick up. Now we're going to go back to these little blue beads. And I think these will really pop now. So pick up 4 of those, slide those down, and I'm going to lay them on top of the gray beads and push them back. And then I'm going to put my needle down in front of that first bead. I really hope you can see that. In front of that first bead, and I will pull the needle through. Sorry, I got to make sure that's in the right spot. I think I moved it a bit. So push those back. And go down in front of that bead and pull my needle through. And these will just lay down right on top of those gray beads. Now I'm going to come back between the stone and the gray beads and the blue beads. But it's the same deal. I'm just simply coming back 2 beads again, just like I did with the gray beads. So it's no different. It's just that they're, rather than laying on top of the fabric, they're laying on top of the gray beads. And this really pops beautifully on my piece here.